What if the universe is in a constant state of sending you feedback? Welcome to There Will Be Signs, a podcast that celebrates the stories, synchronicities, and strange nudges that remind us there's more to life than what we see. Here we'll talk to deeply intuitive guests and offer practical ways to connect to the magic, whimsy, and unseen helpers that exist around you every single day, because you are supported, dear listener. It may not always feel that way, but there will be signs. Welcome back to There Will Be Signs. We have a really fun episode today. We're actually going to dive right in versus our normal chatty chat because it's probably going to go a little bit longer, and you'll see why in just a moment. But we are really excited to talk to Kirem Marnett today. She is a third-generation healer, intuitive soul messenger, and founder of Peach and Crane Soul Medicine. She's the creator of Soul Signs, which we will learn about shortly. It's a proprietary system that translates personal energy into archetypes drawn from animals, plants, and mythology, helping people finally see themselves clearly and step into who they were actually built to be. Kirem is a former corporate communications executive turned acupuncturist, and her path took an unexpected turn when she experienced a clairvoyant awakening during meditation, seeing spirit animals form before her and receiving answers she never expected. After losing her practice to COVID and enduring what she calls a sacred collapse, she rebuilt her life around the gifts she'd carried all along but never given center stage. So now she works with individuals, couples, and groups worldwide from Nashville, Tennessee. And through her new Adaptive Leadership Evolution program, she brings soul signs into the workplace, helping leaders at every stage transform how they lead.
Isn't it fun how nature and signs will find a way? They're just going to keep coming at you until you get it.
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun one. And I particularly love how every person we've spoken to so far is so distinct and has such a special gift to offer. And I think that no matter where you are on your path, listening to Kirem talk about her journey and just, offer the advice that she has is going to be applicable.
Yeah, we love a healer.
We love a healer. So let's dive in.
All right, let's do it.
All right, we're here with Kirem. Thank you so much for being here. I have been actually very excited to talk with you for a while because I've been reading your website and just getting into the nitty-gritty, and I'm just like, this is going to be a fun conversation. So thank you for being here.
Oh, it's such a joy to be here with you both. Thank you for having me on.
Of course. So tell us, okay, so you are a soul messenger. Tell us what that entails.
Yeah, so Soul Signs is what I read, and it's something I completely stumbled into, or life had its way of leading me on a path of breadcrumbs of self-discovery, awakening, trials and tribulations, a very long story for sure, but we will keep it brief for now. But essentially, it really started with the opening of my ability to see. And that was all, not something I recognized right away. But what I did notice that was consistent during that experience was animals. They just kept showing up, and I could not escape meditation without being sort of like bombarded with animals of all different kinds. And, I was trained in hardcore Tibetan Buddhist meditation. And so we are not supposed to be distracted by what we see on the cushion. We're there to work. We're there to, get this enlightenment thing going. So it was quite an experience of resistance, actually, that I finally had to surrender to what I was seeing and then put two and two together over time, over many months, that what I was seeing was actually messages in the form of animals. And so initially the process, or what I was seeing, I called spirit animals, and we would all know that and be familiar with that, but it is much bigger than that. I see plants, I see mythological characters, I see completely, characters from legend and story and all kinds of things. Like, for example, tuned in on Tom Cruise once because that was something I did with a friend of mine as far as like ways to bring soul signs out. And so Tom Cruise's soul sign is Maverick. So that hello, like it kind of works out. So it's just an example of the range. It would be very limited to call it just spirit animals at this point. So soul signs became the system. And I am, as far as I know, the lone interpreter of this system that I'm still learning about, even 10 years on since it came into my awareness.
Wait, hold on. you're the new princess. I've decided in my head. That's the new Disney movie princess thing. I am already like, I'm seeing animals. She's on a struggle. There's soul signs coming at her. Good and bad. I don't know. Maybe not bad. I don't know. But all of a sudden, I'm just like envisioning, because I saw something recently that's like, what's going to be the next Disney princess? Sorry, it's Disney.
Oh, that's great.
Label Disney. But like the next big fairy tale movie. And it's you. It's this storyline.
I think that's really cute. I like that idea a lot, because there's so many, star seed children and indigo kids and things like that. They need a myth and a story to follow. I like that. I like that a lot.
It's very sweet.
Add it to the list, Killian.
Putting it down. What I really love about that story too is that you said you were trained in what style of meditation?
Tibetan Buddhist meditation. Yeah.
Okay. So you were doing that initially, and then you were getting all of these like animal symbols as you were training in the style of meditation. You're like, like I can't get these out, right? And you were mentioning that as like resistance. And I just thought, well, isn't that lovely how it's such proof that there is no one style? Like oftentimes when you are seeking and we get stuck on, oh, this is the path, right? This is the path forward. I have to do this style of meditation, or I have to learn how to quiet the mind in this way. But to your point, it's like when you just surrender and you allow what needs to show up, that's such a beautiful experience. And it sounds like you have really tapped into the magic of that, which is so cool. So I just wanted to name that.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. And it really is truth as far as my experience. What I held at arm's length for so long just needed to find me at an opening when I was ready to receive. And that took a while to wear me down a bit. But once it did, it's never left me. And, I'm always in a place of like, it could at some point as easily as it showed up, that I just stay in gratitude and in service to those I can help, and, stay as open and high vibe as possible in order to share the messages.
Yeah. And then I meant to ask you, do you know your sun, moon, rising?
Yes. I am an Aries, Pisces, Aries sandwich.
Ooh. Well, you're speaking to an Aries and a Pisces, so this is perfect.
Yeah. I wish you were in the middle.
That's so great. I love it. It makes total sense that this felt in alignment together. I love that.
It's a vibe.
You get each other, then you get me. That's for sure.
Yes. Yeah, for sure.
So when you were, so you mentioned this dropped into your awareness in adulthood. Were there signs as a kid that you had this gift? Like, did you really love animals actually? Like, were you drawn to them as a child?
I mean, I loved animals as much as the average kid loves animals, which is a lot in a ton, right? But to be honest, I've at times gone through periods of like, why me? Especially because I'm not a biologist, I'm not a zoologist, I'm not a vet, I'm not even, anything professional with animals. So it's just kind of remarkable because it is not something that I would have sought out or would have thought logically that this would be what would fall into my lap. Yeah. But yes, as far as historically, when I was in kindergarten, I was recognized as highly empathic to the point where they took me out of class, and I loved recess. I loved playing, with all the kids outside, but they would take me during that period to go do testing, like genius level testing. And I hated it. I was just like, no, I just want to be playing with all the kids. And of course, back then, and even today, I don't think they're really still able to measure emotional or, empathic type of genius versus like mathematical or whatever, intellectual. So I had to go through that, and they quickly found out I was not a math genius or a Mozart or anything like that. It was just a kid with a big heart. Yeah.
Yeah, just the heart space magnified.
Yeah. I'm glad that worked out that way, because like then who knows? You might have been put in some government lab forever.
I know, totally. I was like,
I've seen those videos. I've gone down those holes, Killian. That those kids are like, what did they ask you? And no one remembers the exact questions. They just remember being there. And they were like, just saying. Okay, our podcast is now turning into something else. Please continue.
It's true. I'm glad you came out of that also safe.
Yeah.
So how do you, okay, wait, first, my first question is, what kind of clients do you work with? Like, who's the type of person who generally comes to you for some assistance?
Yeah, that's a great question because you're finding me in a bit of a transition right now. Traditionally, and since I had previously an acupuncture practice, which is also part of my story of going into full-time reading, because that closed down in 2020 when the world did what the world needed to do there. And we all needed to react in the ways that needed to happen. But I would say traditionally, my clients have been really the same people who have been my patients and clients as far as acupuncture, oriental medicine, energy work, and things of that nature. So that's really everybody. But for the most part, I think those who are especially interested in this side of the work have been like moms, women of all ages who are spiritually inclined or interested or going through lots of life transformation. I just happen to find that is a lot of what brings new clients to me. But since I have been doing this now almost 10 years professionally, I did my first professional readings intertwined with acupuncture treatments in 2017. And I previously, before my acupuncture career, worked in public relations, marketing in the corporate world. I'm actually finding that this work has a rootedness and an immense amount to offer leaders and actually helping them on their path to authentic leadership by getting to know their own energetic signatures and then also that of their team and also those that they are working with and learning how to evolve what we think of as leadership in the sense that's very modern, intuitive, and empathetic in the workplace. And so I think when we're coming into contact with like Gen Z and millennials versus the boomers and Gen X in the workplace, there's such a wide range of communication styles and what values are. And so I'm just finding this could provide such a beautiful through line to making the workplace a bit more creative, fun, interactive in a way, using these signs as metaphors for understanding each other better. Because you think about when we say someone is a certain animal, we all know what that animal is like or about. So, for example, like a shark, there's a shark in the office. They're not the ones you're going to get hugs from in the break room. Okay. They're not the hugging, warm, touchy, feely type, but are they the ones that you want in the new business meeting or the one where there's got to be numbers crunched? Heck yes. So teeth are very important in certain situations.
There's a place in the ecosystem for them.
Yeah, like once you know this about certain people, especially in work relationships, you just start to let go of certain things that you need. But of course, in personal relationships, family, dynamics, partnership, anything like that, soul signs can be used to help all of that. So personal to professional, but I'm starting a new direction with a specific training program called the Adaptive Leadership Evolution, just for leaders in the workplace.
How cool.
I was going to say, this is probably really exciting, Amanda, because oftentimes we've spoken with guests and she has said, wouldn't this be so cool to apply to the workplace?
I do, because I think that it's a good bridge. Like people think that they're two separate things, but I think that they go hand in hand. And honestly, I could talk about it here really quickly, or I could talk about it later, but I have a deep connection and love to acupuncture. And I wanted to tell you about it because I started going to acupuncture after COVID. During COVID, I was depressed. I was anxious. I was really having a hard time with the transition socially and with friend groups and everything. 2 years of therapy definitely helped. And I just was feeling horrible. My whole body was feeling horrible. And on my birthday, I was like, I'm going to go to acupuncture and try it because if this doesn't work, I'm going to have to start getting on some sort of medication because everything felt very off. And then the first session was very cathartic. I cried. And then I went back. I was like, how often are we doing this? He's like, 1 to 2 times a week to start. I'm like, holy cow, that's a lot. How many sessions are we doing? 5? He's like, no. And it was my birthday weekend, and I came back the next weekend, and he was like, how was your week? I'm like, it was great. I'm not going to complain. It was my birthday. And then I kept coming back. Every week I was like, I had another good week. I had another good week. I had another week of no intrusive thoughts. And now it's been 2 years, and I have never been back in that state that I was pre-going to acupuncture. It changed my life. It brought me back to the Amanda that my friends knew and I loved about myself. And to anyone who brings that change to people and brings that positivity, I am just so grateful. So big credit to you, Kirem, for doing that for the world.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, I'm so grateful to hear that. And your story is so similar to so many, including my own. Like, I fell into acupuncture because I was a patient who had successfully gone through treatment and experienced life-changing results. So I love hearing its praises. It's just a profession that I thought I would do forever, especially after the amount of intensity and rigorousness being in a alternative medicine that is trying so hard for acceptance in Western medicine. It's an incredibly challenging training program. It was a 4 to 5 year master's degree for me, year round, and just an incredible amount of work and information that it takes to practice. But acupuncture is an amazing medicine, and it is truly life-changing. And I love that you had a great experience.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I will share that, Amanda, when I recently started going back to acupuncture, the first couple sessions, I also just sobbed on the table. There's something about that release, like you just get the tears out, get it flowing. But it is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's what? Mind, body, spirit. Yeah.
Truly. And I do think acupuncture serves as a really beautiful gateway for a lot of people who can actually say like, oh, there's something more here. There's something energetic happening here outside of what I traditionally know as medicine, right? Or like at least in the Western world.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mine was covered by insurance, so somebody believes in it.
Yeah. And out in Los Angeles, like California, you guys are really, at the forefront, because out there, if I were to go and get licensed, I could be a primary care physician, read labs and everything based
Wow.
on the training we have,
Yeah.
at least certain degrees. Yeah. So it is profound medicine. And I have to say, through the process of evolution as a healer that I am grateful for my acupuncture training because, interestingly, all my soul sign readings include 2 signs, which is a yin and a yang aspect to every person. We don't just have one, like in the traditional spirit animal sense, like, oh, I'm a this, I'm a that, right? No. And they're always evolving. And so they're revealing our growth from, as we learn and grow, sometimes we shift more yang and sometimes more yin. So it's showing our aspects of balancing between 2 dimensions that we're always doing as humans and as the world is showing us. We have night, day, we have summer and winter, we have always an aspect of opposites, but then also the poles of balance that we need to hit, like the solstices too. So I actually think sometimes, Amanda and Killian, like I am still doing acupuncture. It's just points that are brought through as messages that land with my clients versus me sitting with them in the physical space and actually giving them a treatment.
Wow.
So this enables me to reach people worldwide from the ability, like what we're doing right now, basically on a Zoom call, to give them very specific mind, body, soul messages that are very specific to them.
I love
You're
that.
touching on the energetic points from afar, which is so gorgeous. And now you've piqued my interest so much because you mentioned before we hopped on and started recording that you do have a small reading for Amanda and I, and maybe it would be fun to see how this plays out if you wouldn't mind sharing.
Good transition, Killian.
Yes, I'd be so happy to do that. It's like, I'm sure when you've worked with other readers, they get kind of twitchy when they have stuff that they know is meant to be delivered. So it's like,
you're like, I want to get this out.
Moving out.
Yeah. I always feel bad for the people who are like, I want to give a message, but I'm at the grocery store and I don't know if I should. And I'm always like, give it. Always give it to everyone. If they don't want it, that's okay. But like, I always feel sad when people are like, I feel like I can't. And I'm like, oh no, do it.
Well, yes, obviously you all want to ask for permission because you want people to allow the message in. Otherwise, it just, it won't connect. So with that actually being said, is it okay for you both for me to go ahead and share these messages with you today?
1,000,000%.
Okay, terrific. And I have to say, have we met before? This is the first time I've ever met either of you. So, all I have and what I went from is your full names and birthdays. That's how I access your unique energy signature. And then just through a process of meditation, I jot down what I'm seeing. And then today, some things you'll see in a minute. I had to research because being the non-biologist that I am, I certainly don't know all of the creatures in the world or myths in the world too sometimes. So I do require some preparation, which is why my readings when I do them are not typically live channeled, although I'm always open to bring through live messages. But I kind of have to do the nerd research on the beginning, prepare, and then do a delivery in the sense of the meeting itself. So
Very cool.
I have Killian down first. Is it okay to start with you, Killian?
Sure.
Okay. So the first message I bring through is the yin message for women. That's just naturally how it comes through. For men, it's more of the yang. This doesn't mean that's only the direction of what you're leaning into. My sense is you balance both of your signs really, really well. And I also have to just say, out of looking at your soul sign couplets and like just the constellation here, there is no question that you two were meant and destined in some way with these signs to do a podcast. And I will happily explain why. Yeah. But when I saw them come through, I was like, oh my, they are completely like in sync in doing this podcast. Like this podcast itself has definitely been part of your soul contract together. Like, and obviously the impact it's going to make for sure. So yeah. So let me tell you first, Killian. By the way, are you an animal person?
Yes.
I thought so. I thought so. And if you happen to be a dog person, this will make a lot of sense. Okay.
Oh.
So your yin soul sign is the beagle.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay.
Yeah.
New tattoo alert.
Yeah, our reaction to the beagle is like, oh, it's like a cute dog. It is a loyal dog. It is one that has a lot of service embodied in it. And it is very cooperative and very, active. It's like activated in its life and its mission to basically help on the hunt and things like that. But it does it in a group. It's really like very energetically connected to the collective and the whole and being in service for the good. And so there is a quality to you that maybe those who know you well, and I say this because it's your yin sign, is that as they get to know you, they find that you have this quality to you of like, I can't help but say adorable. There's an adorable quality to you. Especially when you're on task with something. Like when you're on a mission for something, people find it extremely endearing and you draw people in the more you are on the hunt for something, and so this idea of this podcast, I see you like you needed to research certain things in order to get the building blocks together, and you go all in. And like when a beagle is going all in, you don't see them out in the brush. You just see like rustling, and you can tell they're very intent on it. And then they have this tail that was bred into the breed and has a little white tip, and you just see it go in like, and you can tell like the Killian is on track, and like everyone's just like, oh, she's still in it, in the deep dive, in the research, and like they'll just like track, and they're sent, and so your psychic ability, both of you are very psychic, by the way, and it doesn't surprise me that this topic about doing this kind of thing is what, gets you really jazzed up and excited. But like Killian, your gift is very physical. Like you definitely need to interact with the energy the same way a beagle needs to get its nose on the ground. Okay.
Ooh, I love that.
So so when you are like in it, you are really activating your psychic energy. If you were, for example, doing something like this on Zoom might be harder for you to read it per se. You need to be like in the energy versus the tech aspect might be a little too distant or something.
Yeah. Season 2, we're flying everybody out.
Hands on,
the bottom
in person.
line, hotels. We're going to have a space. It'll be great.
Yes, perfect. Yeah,
You'll be back.
Oh, perfect. I love
First-class seats.
I love it. We're manifesting that. That sounds great. So yeah, Killian, how are we doing so far? I always like to keep this a conversation a bit to feel the energy back and make sure I refine any messages for you.
Honestly, I love it. And the first thing that came up for me too is I think my first relationship with a dog. So I lived in like very inner cities for the first 7 years of my life, but I was such an animal person. My parents weren't really, but I bonded. I want to say my grandma's dog was part beagle. And then my cousins got a beagle. And I used to beg to walk the dog. I would walk the dog around the neighborhood as often as I could for them when I would visit. And another funny thing, because there aren't a lot of beagle presents in my life, which is why this is coming up for me. My husband's dog growing up was a beagle who was very near and dear to him, who I got to meet before. His name was Max, before he passed. And there's something very synchronistic about that. But also, yes, the way you're describing the imagery of like the tail in the brush, like when I am on something, I am like, I mean, there's the word dogged about it, right? Like, it's like, I want to be sniffing it out. I want to be hunting it down, and it consumes my entire being.
It's true.
So it's your mission. Exactly. So I want to just frame the beagle for you as the joyful tracker. That's the symbol. That's my sign for that. So someone who is essentially a researcher, reporter, yeah, like even it could be legal, scientific, social, sociology. It can be any of that, but like a dogged researcher, a dogged, reporter of something, investigation of sorts. So what a natural, place to find yourself in media that is essentially diving into things at a deeper level and preparing to illuminate things for the collective. So, the joyful tracker, there's just something deep in your soul. There's a happy place, just like the beagle on its track, that when you're doing the same thing, you find that same amount of joy. And you being in that joy is very resonant to everyone else who beholds it, just like those who would be accompanying these hunting dogs. Like just seeing the beauty of that breed doing its, gift is just so inspiring to everyone else.
I love that. Thank you.
My
Yeah.
cheeks are starting to get sore because that
From
was me.
stress.
I was smiling so hard because that just made me so happy.
Me too. I was like, oh, that's such a beautiful sign, and just so much sweetness involved.
She's truly the best.
Yeah. And I have to say, I will share, like, there's light and challenge with everything. So one of the challenges for my dog types is sometimes a sense of over-given loyalty, even when it's not been good for you to love anyway, or, show up beyond the call of duty. So there may have been some life lessons or challenges over applying that incredible loyalty to someone or others where you've been hurt, or learning that lesson of boundaries, right?
Yep. That's very consistent. Yeah. The people pleasing part is there, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so the dogs are just such unconditional love teachers that it's almost like they forget that humans are fallible. And, it's like they relearn that in this soul journey lifetime when they're walking with dog energy, dog animal spirit. So that doesn't surprise me. Okay. And then your other sign, your yang sign, and you're wearing a white top today. So this doesn't surprise me. That happens a lot. So I'll have people come on and they're wearing the wildest things. I'm like, it's not actually a surprise. But you're a soul sign in the yang position. This is your confident place. This is your more where you're an extrovert. And this is literally one of my soul signs for podcasters or like speakers or media personalities. Okay. And that is the cockatoo.
I love it.
I like that too.
So the cockatoo, whereas the beagle gets in the weeds, the cockatoo also knows how to get dressed up, be fancy. Los Angeles is like Hollywood has the glamour. When we see cockatoo, they are very glamorous birds. I mean, man, but like also very pared back, they're not the parrot. So they really get understated elegance and they know how to stand out without being loud. Yet they do it with a very classy, tasteful, and sort of a whole just restraint. You know how restraint is literally the right ingredient in basically any form of fashion? Mm-hmm. That is like cockatoo summed up. They know how just to hold it a note or two back before it gets too much or ever out of style. And so you have a very good, keen sense of fashion, but how that applies socially too, not just in the way you look or present yourself, but in every way that you interact socially. So they have got that comb on the head, and that's like the flair. And sometimes that tends from white to yellow, shades of yellow. Right. So their power center, their third chakra center, which is the color yellow, is here. So it's the power of the mind. Ooh. So when you add that to the researcher, hunter quality of the beagle, holy smokes, we've got we've got someone where all her power center is like in her mind, her thinking, her thought process. And so you are very able to organize, to clearly distinguish thoughts, make plans, kind of be that organizer, connector for a lot of things and people. And we know that the cockatoo can what? It can speak. It's like one of the parrots. So it has a mythical quality and power to it that is totally unique in the animal kingdom and makes it a very gifted, soul sign. So you have the gift of communication. And the birds are also part of the air realm, which is the throat chakra, all about expression and speaking, media, communication, writing, film, broadcasting, all of that is coming from there.
Wow.
Okay, so sorry, that was a lot. I'll let you.
No, that's so cool. I mean, I'm already thinking about how this can be helpful in a workplace. But when you were saying like, yeah, the mind, the cockatoo, it's funny. My daughter has a cockatoo stuffed animal with the yellow head thing. And I think one of my favorite things to do in an organization is create workflows, create like systems of workflows like that. So that makes a lot of sense.
Killian, how do you feel about 2 new tattoos?
I'm in. Let's find the right place
I'm
for
also
'em.
like, can I find her a cool fascinator? Just to really embody that look.
There you go.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
So the cockatoo, so many gifts with the cockatoo, like I shared. And one challenge that I've come across with others that I've read is just to be mindful of, there's a pristine quality. They're very clean. So this like purity line kind of goes right through to the core of who they are. That white color is just like they're almost so perfect and pristine that I think sometimes in order to maintain that, either for themselves or others, they sometimes say like a white lie. And they might say things that like just make sure that gray area doesn't stain them or the situation or hurt anyone's feelings. But that is actually what can get them into trouble. And they just have to really walk the black and white line sometimes versus the gray area in between, because that can start to create some friction or challenges that they could be totally avoided if clarity were actually there. They have the clarity. They just don't want to disrupt the peace a lot of the time by bringing the truth. And so their challenge or lesson this lifetime, or while you're traveling with this sign, is to work on that and overcome it, because it will serve you in the end to develop that courage for the truth and knowing the truth can speak for itself.
Yeah, I really, really love that and appreciate that, because that is true in my life. I wouldn't say like white lies necessarily, but yeah, it's like that. There's that balance of wanting someone to feel comfortable in your presence, wanting not to rock the boat, especially with like growing up, being around potentially bigger personalities and authority figures and all of that. And learning through adulthood. And I think I hope I've learned this, but it's a lifelong lesson, right? Of how to speak the truth and maybe with being okay with it rocking the boat a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. It's a tricky one, but
I mean, some people can say it too naturally. Like
yeah, right. Well, I'm actually really excited to hear Amanda's now, because I'm curious to hear how it all comes together.
I'm excited, but also like, eek, my soul.
Yes. Okay. Amanda. So in your yin position, which would be at the same degree that the beagle is for Killian, is the starfish.
Ooh, very Pisces oriented.
Yes. And so that takes us into the water. That's in the emotional realm. That's in consciousness. That's in creativity. That is in just that wonderful, Pisces watery world in a way. And so the starfish, there's a myth that comes through for me when I read for starfish. They are extremely patient, but they are all, honestly, the starfish are the ones who are observing the entire world from the reverse of the sky. The bottom of the ocean. So they mirror and represent the poles between the cosmos and the deepest part of the earth that is still able to behold what's happening upon it. So there's a unique aspect that you are holding for the rest of us in a very deep space holding kind of way, which is in its own, service to others. It's a gift. but it may not be something that people recognize or know because it's just beyond perception. It's just beneath the waves enough that they can't see it from the surface. The starfish you guys are meant to be the new celebrity. Like there's a shift happening where those of the old, Piscean era of Hollywood, etc., they are things are changing, and the old version of that is becoming much less respected or cared about in this new era of authenticity. And the Aquarian age is so much more about what we know, not how we look or whatever. So as we shift that and the healing that goes with it, I believe that those who run with starfish soul signs are really going to emerge at some point and really claim the stage in a more here I am kind of way versus the hidden, just a little bit of restraint. When I talked about Killian's ability to do that with the cockatoo, you both have that together, which might be a very powerful energetic thread that attracted you to each other as friends, but also has an incredible level of trust, because it's not something that you can actually define about what that is in someone else, but you just know when you meet someone that they have a classiness to them, that they don't have to be the loudest in the room, but they know how to just hold it back, but yet they are mega on the inside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So how is that landing so far? Because I, threw a lot out there.
Good. I mean, the water side, yes. And then this is not the same as the actual animal, but the star is my favorite symbol. Killian,
I was going to say that. Yeah, I was like, stars your thing.
Stars are my thing. I had a dream with 2 stars last week that I told Killian about. And I like it. I like the sound of it. And now I want to read more into it for myself.
Perfect. Great. They're very sensitive. That's something that is, one of the challenges. Yeah. We can't underscore that enough, because they process everything through literally feeling the ground beneath them as if our whole body is planted there. And so that's more sensitive than the average person. So you can feel everything. Like all the starfish I know are literally feeling everything. And like what you eat, you can be very sensitive to that because everything goes through their stomach. So that is, a process of digestion to get to the bottom of information. Like you have to really allow like the natural process of obtaining the information, sensing it, but also processing it. It goes very internal. Yeah. So when things hurt you or are good, you can feel it like 100x compared to the average person.
Yeah, people don't love that part about me, I'll tell you. It's not a flattering trait, but it's there. And someone who we spoke to recently was saying, I said, oh, I'm indifferent. And they're like, no, it's just your process. Like you take a minute to make a choice and you have to take it all in. And you shouldn't take it when you're making a choice when you're super, super like high or super, super low. You got to be kind of even Steven. And I was like, oh. That's why I think of myself as indifferent, but really I'm just like, let me take the time to take this all in. And that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yes. And definitely knowing that those who love you will let you take that time. Like that's just part of who you are and your process. And honestly, when you process things at that level, the detail to which you will come out with knowledge to enlighten the rest of us is so profound, because you really, really know when you know.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I love that, actually. I am working in the end of life world. Like, I'm helping support on a few funerals. I got my death doula certification, and people are like, that's so sad. And it's so hard. And how are you doing with this? Like, I think you're too emotional to do it. And I'm like, see, I think that people might want somebody a little bit more emotional rather than robotic to be there for them during that time. And I supported my first funeral this past weekend. And when I came home, I was like, I am so proud of myself. I was so happy to be that person, to be like connecting, supporting this family. They seem very happy at the end with our services. And I was like, this is not scary to me. This is something that I feel really connected to, because me personally, I feel like there's a lot to life and it reminds us to live our lives. but also to not be afraid of the next chapter. So I don't know, that whole being on the ground, but also the celestial, that connected in that way to me.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank
I'm
you.
glad that connected for you. So we still have your yang soul sign. So there's something about this sign that is showing that you've gone through perhaps recently or, in the past year or so, maybe some transformation, because the sign is a bit like of a combination of things that make it what it is, which is very powerful. So something is freed up in who you are, your sense of who you are, especially how you carry yourself, because this is more of your extroverted sign and what people might meet when they first get to know you. Your sign is the Asian vine snake, which is
I'm gonna have to Google it.
a combination of a plant sign, soul sign, in my opinion, and the snake soul sign. Okay. So the reason why it's so unique, and I had to research it because I saw it very what I was seeing was basically a vine turning into a snake. So you are fusing gifts at the moment, and you are definitely in transformation. There's the plant people. So we need to start with that, because that's where you've come from, and you transition into being this live,
There you go.
Okay, honey. So you've got a green thumb. Yes.
Yeah,
and you
are
are
just
very
this corner of the house.
plants. Yes, the plant kingdom. So you have exactly. So that is so cool. And it speaks to plant souls are amazing. And I talked about patience earlier, but there's still a level of patience that you have carried throughout life, especially up to this point. And that is part of the plant soul. They are very, very patient. They proceed quietly. They do so without fanfare, and they get to where from A to B without, needing to let everybody know. They just do it. And they have this innate sense of expansion. They have this innate sense of progress and growth, and it's just inevitable, which can be incredibly challenging to other people, or, they just don't think that we can just keep going, but you can't tell a plant not to do that. Right. So it's just an epic, ongoing sprawl. But something has changed where that became animate, where you were quiet, where you were just kind of heads down or diligent on something. You flipped to come to life or had an awakening or something to that nature, because now the snake is embodying the beauty of this vine energy, but she is really coming to life, and she is finding her. Snakes are very sexy and seductive and sultry and incredibly flirtatious, and they know how to get the deal done, and they know how to get to the yes, and they are finding power in that. Okay,
yes.
So that's an animation of the plant energy to a slightly different capacity, but it is very feminine. It's very natural. It's very organic to just your evolutionary path. But it might be surprising a few people.
I like
it might be surprising you at times, because she definitely has a point of view, and she definitely has pleasure, wealth, or opulence aspects that are very motivating and rewarding to her, which may not have been the purpose before, because plants are very, very ambitious, but they are very quiet about it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more of a visible gems are her eyes are lighting, things are coming up, and it's a beautiful, opulent place to be. It just might be something that's newer in expression or experience.
That feels good. I mean, I love everything, but also it connects because I'm still producing content and videos and making money from the man, but also doing these other adventures. I was with a company I've been a serial monogamist my whole life when it comes to a lot of long relationships, a lot of long career relationships, and I was very proud of myself. But now I'm doing a lot of other projects for just myself on the side. So I'm taking those skills, but I'm transitioning them to other facets of in different industries. So this podcast, like I said earlier, supporting the end of life world, and I'm still doing events and other projects, but I was very much this is kind of my lane. And now I'm well, let's take the skills from that lane and diversify the portfolio a little bit. So thank you. I'm going to keep that in mind for future business cards.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a perfect place for that snake to show up, for sure.
Yeah.
The vine snake, both both features.
I feel like just knowing you for as long as I have, Amanda, like that felt very on point. Like that felt very accurate to me. So how do your clients typically take the information like and apply it? Is it, and also because we love obviously talking about signs, right? It's like, do you see these animals in the world and now they kind of become like your cue that like you're aligned? Like how do you kind of integrate the world of signs and how do you guide your clients to take this information and to like allow it to move them forward?
Yes, great question. I will say, just for clarity, what I read for you today is like your blueprint, meaning this information is meant to, if it connects for you, if the work I can do for you will serve you, and there's alignment here, just like your reactions, these felt accurate, these felt workable, these felt real to your lived experience right now. It's really the jumping off point, because now it's like, well, how do I take these two signs and the me that's here into the world? And how does it interact with other energies? So that's where the magic is really possible with the work I do, because this is letting you know that we've got an accurate translator here of the energy that you are and also what you're dealing with. So what I would do after doing a couplet reading is then help someone along the lines of like, what are their family's soul signs so they can improve their family dynamics at home every day? And how about if they're single and they're really looking for that partner that they've just been knowing is there, but where are they and how do I find them, or how do I track the right person? I can do a whole reading that basically looks at their previous relationships and the soul signs of those relationships, and then seeing what they had to learn, what was actually meant to come out of those relationships, and really who is their ideal match. And so they can start looking for that man or woman that's embodying these characteristics that get to the energetic level versus just the superficial things. And then, of course, at work, we can work with each other and knowing like what your boss, and then how about the people who report to you? And if you're naturally in the water and they're not even anywhere near the water, how do you make the bridge and things of that nature? So it's really like starting with this core energy and understanding that it feels true to you, and then applying it out in the world to all the different situations that we might find ourselves in as humans, and making that like just the source of data or information to apply in our daily life for decision making and evolution.
100%. I could see that being super useful and just like another beautiful framework for understanding yourself, for understanding your interpersonal relationships, how you work in the world, what your strengths are, what your challenges are. Did you do, I imagine you did. What are your yin and yang signs? If you don't mind briefly touching on that, I'm curious.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to share actually that Peach and Crane, which was my business name for, well, it still is, but for my acupuncture practice, I came across the name in acupuncture school, researching, studying motifs in Chinese art that related to explaining some of the cosmology of the perspective of Chinese medicine. And one was the motif of the crane and the peach. And together, when you see them in art, they represent longevity. So it started there, but it actually became part of the awakening of these as signs that I could read, and that there were two of them, not just one, when I realized that those were my own first two soul signs.
Wow.
The peach itself is the empath, the very sweet, almost too sweet that it calls every single insect and bird. Everyone, people want to pull them off the trees. So everyone wants a piece of that.
They bruise easily.
Exactly. They bruise easily. We're so sensitive, but we're so, sweet and generous and bountiful in our kindness and giving. So I had a lot of lessons to learn on that part of the path. And then the crane is honestly kind of like the longevity aspect there is that somewhat shamanic person who's taking someone from disintegration to integration or healing in some form. And they are very solitary at times, and they're just holding a mantle of a level of people are aspiring to them. And you see cranes in the wild, and a lot of time they're by themselves, and they're integrating a lot of spiritual information as well as, literal information. So they work in the world of the bird realm, which we've talked about with cockatoo, but they definitely have that taking one from one space to another plane and helping with their evolution and growth. The cranes are really about bringing that enlightenment. And there's a whole legend that has been shown to me about the cranes and kind of a shamanic experience of going into hiding and needing to learn a lot of natural wisdom before they bring it back to the people when they're ready. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I have a question. You and your website mentioned you're a third generation healer. Can you tell us a little bit about your family and if they passed anything down to you?
Yeah. So my mom is an RN by training, retired now, but she was a very intuitive healer, and she worked in mental health and had very illuminating, enlightening kinds of conversations in her work with patients, some to the effect of she would say something that woke them up. I mean, essentially brought them to truth that is, in essence, when we can no longer accept being in a state where we are in delusion. And for mental health, that brings us back into reality. And so she would have stories of moments with patients where she would just be in conversation and helping them to awaken or essentially spontaneously find truth again and come back to themselves. And I remember as a child being on the Little League field with my brothers, and a former patient walked up to her and thanked her. And I had no idea what that was about until she told me the story about him, or he was there and shared with us. But it was just incredible. So she's had a gift similarly of speaking truth at very specific points that I know I carry through. And I went the path of acupuncture to step into a professional healing role, but that was my mom. And then my lineage on her side is from the Palau Islands in Micronesia. So my name Kirem is a Palauan name, which is always a little bit of a challenge, but I welcome it being different and very unique to, the work I do.
It's
but
beautiful.
Then also,
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. But yes, her father is the one that she talked about as being someone who would receive people and do some kind of channeling, or she said it was mysterious to her as a child, but there were people that would come for medicine or some form of help or healing. He was also an inventor, kind of an unusual man. So it is at least documented through that lineage where it has come through at least those two past generations, and me being the third. But then other members have said beyond that. And I have other family members who are intuitively gifted or healer types, very, able to work with the energy also. So, I think we're all able to be psychic, but it just happens that I've got a documented, established line of a healer. Yeah.
It's like it's been an open channel in your lineage. Like it's just been there, right? And nobody's necessarily blocked it out completely,
Right.
which is a
I
really
love that.
beautiful gift to you that you could inherit that energetic.
Yeah.
I'd love to ask you how you interpret signs in your life, because you said that you meditate, you said that's where you get most of your visions and maybe the most clarity. But how do you in your kind of day-to-day feel through the energies and the energetics of making decisions? How does that work for you in your flow?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I do start my day when I'm present, when it's not something I'm rushing off to do, and I can just take in those delicious early morning moments where you're not quite still asleep or awake. And I always love to be in that liminal space and tune in for myself. So I always start my day with a bit of allowing the guidance for the day to show me what I need to be to show up today or what to expect. So I'll just kind of use those early waking moments as my time to tune in. If I see an animal cross my path, I take them seriously. I do. I think when we open the door in this world, if they can reach us directly, they're going to, if they don't have to come through me. But, I definitely take pause and receive when I'm visited by these animals directly. They have a lot to bring to our awareness.
100%. I do the same thing. I mean, there was a hummingbird hovering outside my window recently, and I was like, okay, I hear you. I get you,
I might break out my old fish tank this weekend and go see if I can fill it with some water for a new starfish. Or something. Because now I'm I want a starfish in my house every day.
Yeah.
Be by the plants. I don't think I'll bring a snake home though. But maybe a starfish.
Well, hey, you could go enjoy the reptiles at the museum, right? From afar.
Yeah, I'll just go outside and see what I can find.
Right. I'm mindful that we're getting toward the end of time, and I want to be, mindful of your time. And I have one more kind of overall question that I love to ask our intuitives who are on the show is, what is your relationship with your channel, right? Like, how do you know that you are getting information that feels like it's clear, it's clean, it's coming from a loving, compassionate source?
Obviously, the vessel, you need to maintain the vessel. And I'll only tune in for clients when I'm in a present state. I'm not altered in any way. I always ask permission. All of that is very necessary to ensure a very heart to heart connection. And definitely doing regular practices to energetically cleanse and clear my space and myself. And I think it's just maintaining like the highest vibration and standard that you set. And for me, it's very high. Clients, when I've read for other psychics, they tell me you're very clean. And I'm like, I'm an acupuncturist. Like, we have to sterilize everything before we go in. So I work really clean. I just require that, and I maintain that in my professional work as an intuitive. And I
That
think
makes sense.
I would say for those starting, I mean, obviously you will find your path to what type of protection or clarity you need. And it's more just trusting yourself. I think that's the big leap, is less fear about what might happen versus when you connect to truth, there's no losing handle of it. There's no losing sight of it. And once you know what that truth thread feels like in your body and for your gifts, you only align with that. And then it's less a process of fighting the distractions around it and just staying focused on that one line, because it'll feel a certain way energetically to you in your heart and in your spirit, in your eye, psychic eye, or audible, or however you get your information. It's going to sound, feel, or resonate a certain way, truth. And anything other than that, to ignore, to honestly just weed out the noise and just focus on that one thing. I hope that makes sense, because that's the best way.
1,000%. Yeah. It's you basically answered the next question that I had, which is what gift would you leave for listeners, right, who are looking to really hone that? And it sounds like it's just about learning to trust how you're getting your truth, right? How that truth comes through your body and how you experience that.
Sounds like clear heart, clear mind.
Yeah. I'm curious if you have any books that you would recommend. Like, if you ever read a book that really just felt like, ooh, yes, this is juicy.
Yes, actually, this was very recent. I do love to read, so it would be very hard for me to pick one out of all of the books that have covered my path and my years. But one very recently, which is written by someone who I have previously worked with in the past. Her name is Michelle Katz. And her book is called Awakening in the Age of Metals. And it's brand new. It just came out. And it is her story of essentially uncovering her own mysterious illness and having to go through the process of Western medical, traditional medical healing, and getting non-answers and getting, roadblocks and dead ends, and yet still holding this faith that our medical system is there to solve our problems or to make us well. And, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying in her situation, she was a medical mystery. And then her story of basically going through her journey from intuitive healer, energy worker, acupuncture, her flow of how she went about healing herself and all of the different resources for what we have available today for mind, body, and spirit health and wellness and true thriving, she uncovers in her whole story. And it is, honestly, it's such a testament to the healers of the world for the work we're doing. We think sometimes we're just this tiny little small fish in a big sea, but we can make some of the biggest differences in people's lives. And I also think it's so powerful for new people who are new to their intuitive gifts, who may not, like, I do soul science. I don't have somebody else thousands of years of history like Chinese acupuncture doctors to follow and books this thick of case, loads and workups. Like, I am running blind here. Like, I am definitely confident in my gift, but I don't have anybody else teaching me how to do it. So I feel like her book was such a blessing to those of us who are here to give something to the world and help each other, help our clients, help people heal, but maybe not have this long storied group of behind us. Like, we don't have this pedigree. And so it just is a testament to the new type of healing that's available. So for those developing their gifts, to go for it and don't think you have to fit in a box, and to trust what you get when you find that thread of truth. That's you. That's your own unique connection to source. And so when you find that, it can be anything. And then on the flip side, anyone else listening to this who is also going through something, a healing process of their own transformation, it just shows you don't have to stick to one version of healing that's told to you or dictated to you. You can completely follow the signs. Follow your own signs.
Right.
You know?
That's right.
Yes.
And to really use that as the mirror of guiding you to your true path and overcome whatever it might be. So her book, honestly, like, it is brand new, and I just finished reading it for her, and it was like a treasure to be able to read.
That's amazing. That's a very
love the shout
powerful, very powerful testimonial, and also, or just like review. And I had like chills just like when you said the title. I was like, ooh, this is going to be good. I can tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Killian, how lucky are we to have been able to spend so much time with Kirem?
I know. This was fantastic. And I would love to get you back someday so we can dive even deeper into all of this work. I mean, this has been
Seriously.
phenomenal. Thank you so much also for tuning in for us and offering those readings. They
Yeah,
mean
that was so generous.
so much. And I mean, that's now a part of my like identity, right?
Yeah, me too.
It is. I mean, it's a beautiful gift. I don't even have the words for it. It really is such a beautiful gift. And so thank you for being here. Where can our listeners find you?
peachandcrane.com has been my website through all of my healing work. You can also find me, for those who might be interested in my more executive focus and leadership focus, KiremMarnett.com is my new website for that side of my services, where I do obviously the adaptive leadership evolution program, but also workshops that I can do for small teams, groups, virtual or in person. And in addition, you can find me on socials at Soul Signs by Kirem on Instagram, and also Kirem Marnett on Instagram for that side of the work I'm doing. I'm on LinkedIn at Kirem Marnett.
I want to tell everybody about you.
Yes.
And we will, but
We will.
Thank you both so much. It's been so fun to come on and share Soul Signs with you.
Thank you so much for being here and making it all the way to the end of the episode. If you enjoyed listening, please do help us get the word out. Pump us up in the algorithm by liking, subscribing, reviewing, all those good things. Much love. See you next time. You are supported, dear listener. It may not always feel that way, but there will be signs.